Chairman, and welcome to Ms. Tavenner. I used to, when I was in President Bush's cabinet, I used to testify before this committee from that seat, and I used to think the senators deliberately put the chair down low so they could be up high. So we welcome you. My late friend Alex Haley used to say, Lamar, if instead of making a speech, you just tell a story, somebody might listen to you. So here's a story. 16,000 Tennesseans have insurance through Cover 10, a low-cost, narrow-coverage state program. Obamacare is canceling their policies. Cover 10 is an example of what President Obama calls bad apples, an insurance plan that Washington decides isn't good enough for you. I recently heard from one of those Tennesseans whose policy will be canceled on January 1st. Her name is Emily. She's 39. She has lupus. She told me, I cannot keep my current plan because it doesn't meet the standards of coverage. This alone is a travesty, she said. Cover 10 has been a lifeline. With the discontinuation of Cover 10, I'm being forced to purchase a plan through the exchange. My insurance premiums alone will increase a staggering 410%. My out-of-pocket expense will increase by more than $6,000 a year. That includes subsidies. Please help me understand how this is affordable, says Emily. Our health care system makes up nearly 20% of our economy, touching the lives of every American. And today, Obamacare is pushing that 20% of our economy in the wrong direction. The President has said repeatedly, and I looked up the White House website this morning, if you like your plan, you can keep it. And you don't have to change a thing due to the health care law. Let me repeat, you don't have to change a thing due to the health care law. That's the White House website today. But as the President said, it's a law transforming our health care delivery system in the wrong direction. It's more than a website, as the President said. It's a law transforming our health care delivery system in the wrong direction, we believe, by increasing premiums, canceling insurance plans, destroying relationships with doctors, raising taxes, forcing people into Medicaid, spending $500 billion Medicare dollars on new programs instead of making Medicare solvent, and encouraging employers to reduce their employees to a 30-hour work week. And then having the IRS fine Americans, or threaten to fine them, for failing to sign up for insurance on a website that doesn't work. As the President promised, you can, if you like your health care plan, you can keep it, but in fact the plan cancels millions of individual policies. And for millions of others, employers are dropping insurance programs as they discover the added costs of Obamacare. For these Americans, the new promise is, if you want health care, go find it on a website that the administration says won't be working properly until the end of November. That's an unwelcome Christmas present. Only 2 weeks to shop for and buy a new insurance policy by December 15, so that you're covered next year when Obamacare outlaws your policy. Ms. Tavenner, the President put Secretary Sebelius in charge of implementing this law. I've called on her to resign because it's hurt so many Americans. Before the Internet, RCA could tell you every day how many records Elvis was selling. Ford could tell you how many cars it was selling. McDonald's could tell you how many hamburgers it had sold. Congressman Issa has posted on his website notes from meetings in the Obama administration's war rooms where you're apparently telling each other how many people are enrolling in Obamacare, but why won't you tell Congress and the American people? One senator has described this law as an approaching train wreck. Well, my grandfather was a railroad engineer in Kansas. His job was to drive the locomotive onto a round table, they called it, turn it around and head it off in the right direction. That's what our country needs to do. We need to turn this train around, turn the law around, head it in the right direction. Obamacare is the wrong direction because it expands a health care delivery system that we already knew cost too much. The right direction is more choices, more competition, that lower costs so Americans can afford to buy insurance. Now, don't expect Republicans to show up on the Senate floor with our version of a 3,000-page bill to try to move the health care delivery system in the direction we want it to go. We don't believe in that approach. We believe instead in moving step by step in the right direction. Make Medicare solvent. Reform Medicare Advantage to compete with Medicare. Make Medicaid flexible. encourage employee wellness plans, small business plans, expand health savings accounts, buy insurance across state lines, change 30-hour work weeks to 40 hours. That 39-year-old Tennessee woman I told you about, Emily, who's losing her insurance because Obamacare has decided it isn't good enough for her, finished her story with these words, quote, "This is one of the biggest betrayals our government has ever committed on its citizens. I beg of you to continue to fight for those like me," she says, "who would only ask to be allowed to continue to have what we already enjoy, a fair health insurance plan at a fair price. Please find a way to return to affordable health care," writes Emily. My message to Emily is that we will do our best to turn this train around and head our health care delivery system in the right direction so that you can buy and keep health care that you can afford.